broadcasters. Welcome to episode 154 of the StreamYard Live Town Hall. My name's Geige, and I'm here with Dan, of course. Dan, how are you doing?
Doing good. I really like the festive vibe from the background.
Yes, I'm enjoying the I'm the new layouts for anyone that missed last week in the community group on Facebook. If you go to Facebook and just type in StreamYard Community, the StreamYard marketing team recently released, and the design team released, a set of graphics that are fun for the holidays. So be sure to check that out if you're interested. For anyone new here, Dan and I are the founders of StreamYard. We do these town halls every single Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific, and we do them for a few reasons. One is to stay in tune with you guys, go through the same flow you guys do with your own shows. Two is to answer any of your questions. So if you have any topics tonight or things you'd like us to hit on, feel free to leave them in the comments, and we'll do our best to get to all of them. And then I always mention the three pillars of StreamYard, which are ease of use, stability, and professional streams. So if you're about those three things, StreamYard is the tool for you. See lots of awesome people hanging out in the chat tonight from all over the world. Always fun seeing that. I'm also in a different place. I'm visiting some family, so apologize. My mic's not quite as good, and I don't have my nice green background.
Yeah, so used to the green screen background.
We've got Daniel from Brazil, Tim from Arizona, people from all over the place. Before I forget, we have lots of awesome shows. So we've got StreamYard Spotlight the first Thursday of every month at 8 p.m. Eastern, which is a show featuring people like you, people in the community, and how they're having success with live streaming. So be sure to check that out if you're looking for inspiration or tips. Dana and Kelsey do the interview. So also reach out to them if you'd like to be featured. We have YouTube channel reviews with Dee Nimmin and Daniel Batal the second Saturday of every month. Really awesome show, especially if you're looking to get started on YouTube in general, not necessarily just live streaming. So tips on things like how often to post, what types of thumbnails, everything you need to know to have a successful YouTube channel. They do live sort of feedback on channels as well. It's really cool. We have Enhance Your Live Streaming the last Tuesday of every month with Nick Nimmin, definitely a pro when it comes to live streaming in general. So specific live streaming tips, you won't want to miss that one. And we have a fun show with Christian and Charles the first and third Saturday at noon PST, which is live stream reviews where they give live feedback on live streams. Lots of fun. And for any final things, any extra questions you have that aren't covered here or that were missed, we have open office 11 a.m. Eastern Tuesday, first and third week with Julie and Mel in the Facebook community group. And for these, we started doing fun facts just so we get to know a bit more about you guys. You get to know a bit more about us. So I think the one we had for tonight was assuming you at one point played an instrument. What was the first instrument you ever played? And I think Dan and I just said recorders don't count, or
anything you play in school.
Right, yeah. So
Yeah,
what about you, Dan?
I always got a kick out of music class in school. At least where I was from, we played a recorder, ukulele, triangle, like percussion, all kinds of different things. First one I actually played seriously, I wouldn't call it seriously. The first one I took lessons outside of school was guitar. I think I only took like 5 lessons, and this is when I was really young. But then the first one I did take very seriously was drums. And I think it was 13 or 14 when I bought my first drum set. And then for those of you that have seen the other streams where I have the drum set in the background, that's really the only instrument I've ever played.
Cool. I don't know that I could still play it. I could probably play it a little bit, but the first instrument that I actually was able to play was saxophone. And I actually got into. I played drums for a little bit after that as well.
Cool. Was it like school band?
Yeah, it was the school band. I got a little bit into it. Like I played it outside of school and took lessons and stuff. It was fun. All right, so let's see what questions we have here.
There's a lot I've always wanted to be able to play, but just never taken down. Piano, for example. I'd love to be able to play piano well.
Yeah, I've always wanted to learn piano too, just because you can sort of play any song you want. It's cool. Thanks, Clarine. I'm glad you're enjoying the backgrounds. That's awesome. Let's see. Wisco Ted says, can we do that game show more often? So fun and informative. Maybe that's Nick maybe that's one of the other shows. If you could give me a little bit more context, Ted, I should know, but I'm not 100% sure what show you're referring to. Xander says, I have a feature request, royalty-free music directly in the studio. Cool. Any thoughts on that one, Dan?
Yeah, definitely open to it. One thing I'd be curious about is what you want to use it for. So is this like you want to play a sound in the background while you're live? Is it you want to just play like this is the main thing where you're just listening to songs for 4 or 5 minutes and that's kind of the main thing you're listening to? You just let us know that.
Cool. Pete says, love the holiday testing music. You again, Dana. Awesome. It's cool that you you already found it, Pete. But yeah, for anyone on the site within the next few weeks, we had some fun Easter eggs with the speaker test being one of them. It's actually Kelsey on the support team that sings the song along with, I think Presley does the background vocals.
Yeah. Very observant.
Yeah. It just went up today, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quick. Park says, I hope SY would come out with a user customized plan, which you could add on services such as 1080 and additional platforms without upgrading to Pro if you don't need all of its features. It's a fair request and a good point. Park, I'd be curious. It's useful to know which ones you'd like to see split out. So you mentioned 1080p and additional platforms. If there's anything else like that that you'd like to see split out, let us know. I don't know that we'll actually, whether or not we'll do it, but we'll certainly discuss it and think about it. If anyone else shares that opinion, would be super curious. Looks like we also have some saxophones and drums. Very cool. So cool. If you play the recorder seriously, it counts. So
yeah. If it's not just school kind of playing around, yeah, that counts.
Clarine says, fun fact, never played an instrument. Fair enough. It does take a lot of effort.
Yeah, it's a lot of time. Especially if you want to sound good. That's the unfortunate part, right? Is you have to put quite a bit of time before it's actually enjoyable to listen to.
Yeah. The poor people living with you have some rough times until.
Especially when you're playing drums.
Yeah, drums especially. Yes, Dan, I think it's one of the recent pinned posts. They're just in a Google Drive file. In the future, we'll probably start hosting them in a different way, maybe on the website itself. But for right now, yes. It's not just the backgrounds too. We have some, let me see if I still have it. We have some fun GIFs and stuff too, like this one. And then we also have, if you want to have Puddle's duck come flying in, you can do that. I'll leave up the lights for now.
I love that duck. That's cool.
Scott says, can you schedule more than a week in advance on YouTube? Yes, you can, Scott. I think, is there even a limit, Dan, in terms of how far?
1 year.
1 year. So yeah, that's quite a bit. Can schedule up to a year. Wisco says the channel review game. Oh, the game, like they do the giveaways in between. Yes, absolutely.
Cool.
Let's see. Matthew says, do I add copyright info during the description when I post? I did a holiday presentation. So if you just putting copyright info in your description won't actually protect your stream from getting taken down, Matthew. So you'll want to make sure if you're playing anything like that during a stream that it's actually like part of the royalty-free stuff in YouTube or Facebook.
Yep.
All right, lots of requests here, but before I want to quickly start getting some feedback on it because I think it's kind of fun. We wanted to briefly show you guys a new thing we're working on and get some initial feedback, and that is solo layout. So I'll show it to you really quickly here with just me in terms of how it looks on the output. So pretty basic, but Dan's still there in the background. But we've definitely gotten lots of requests for having a way to be able to see your backgrounds more easily if you're streaming just by yourself. So this is our first iteration of it. So just curious if this is what you guys are looking for, if there's any more detail to it beyond just the simple sort of cropping / shrinking that we have going on here. And in terms of how you'd actually access it, we have it. I have a picture here in the settings. There's potentially just going to be this new layout section that allows you to turn that on and off. So if you have it off, it'll just work how it did before, where you're actually full screen rather than cropped. So curious if that's what you guys are looking for. If there's any feedback you have on in terms of how you'd like it to work, or how you should be able to access it in the settings, definitely let us know.
Yeah, and basically everything else would behave exactly the same, other than anytime there's one camera, like there's just one camera visible, it'd be zoomed in so you could see the background if you have that setting on. So yeah, very simple to use.
Him says, I'm using virtual camera and OBS, but notice there's like a half-second delay with the audio. I also post this on the community. Any advice? I think him in OBS, there should be some settings where you can actually adjust how many frames there are between the audio and the actual video to account for that. So, and if you have trouble finding it, if you just reach out, StreamYard.com/contact, live chat should be able to help you with that as well.
Yeah. And it's 24/7 live chat, so very responsive.
Clarine says, request option to stack name on top, title or business name on the second level. Yes, cool. Absolutely. Clarine, that's definitely something that we've chatted about. I'd be curious if there's anything in addition to just a second level in terms of like social media handles or anything like that. Let us know if there's any other details, thoughts you have there.
Yeah, like do you want to be able to add an image in the second row or maybe the first row, or is it literally just, name and then some other title?
Dan says, recommend updating transitions so it doesn't zoom. It can just cut to the video image. Also, when you spotlight updating the video, you want to switch to, instead of the video always being on the right. We are looking into different types of animations and stuff so people can add a bit more customization to their shows. Dan, any other thoughts on that one? Sorry, Dan Briggs.
Nothing I can think of. Yeah, always thinking about transitions in general.
Cool. Let's see if we have any thoughts around the solo layout. Wisco Ted says, when did you add the hotkeys for moving to the next slide? Just requested that a couple weeks ago. Very impressed. I'm not sure. When did that go live, Dan?
A few days ago, I believe.
Cool.
Yeah, it was mid this week.
Cool. We actually forgot to include that in the banners. But yeah, you can now bind, and you can also bind them to a custom key.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's. I thought maybe we just did the arrows. Cool. So yeah, you can bind that now. All right.
Yeah, we'll be continuing to roll out more hotkeys over time.
Sounds like quite a few people are enjoying the holiday assets. That's awesome. Cool. Last time we were running through some of because there's been lots of features recently, so we wanted to give people, and most of the times when we were announcing them, we ran out of time for questions. So last time we went back through hotkeys and slides to do a deeper dive and answer people's questions, but there was some other new ones that we didn't go into deep last time that we figured we would use this time for. And the first one of those was starred comments. Do you want to talk a bit about starred comments, Dan?
Cool, definitely. So, like I said, obviously we've already chatted about this, but a lot of you maybe haven't seen this one yet. And this one's very subtle, so if you haven't seen it, definitely makes sense. But basically, when you get a comment now, in the past, if you kind of lost track of that comment, there was no way to really find it again easily, especially if you get a ton of comments. So we added a feature that is useful, I find, both for yourself and then also especially useful if you have other people on your team, like a co-host. But essentially, top right corner of a comment, you can just click a star button, and that'll save it in a separate section. So Geige has actually got 4 comments starred right now for this broadcast. And basically, when he's scrolling through, if he sees something useful that he doesn't want to talk about right now, he can click the star icon, takes it to the starred section, and then later on can come back, go to the starred section, and just go through all of the ones that he starred for later, which, again, super useful, especially if you have a co-host, because you could just be not even looking at the comments, for example, and maybe like if you're the one on screen, you could just have the starred comments open. And you're just focused on the audience, going through some banners maybe. And then as soon as you want to talk about comments, if you have a co-host and they're already preparing all those starred comments, you're just going to have maybe 10 highly selected comments that have been starred by your co-host that you can then talk about. That's where I find it to be extremely useful. But even by yourself, very, very useful. So curious, first of all, how many of you are using it, if you found it useful, and then anything you wish we would change about it if you have used it before.
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes for all the new features that we've released recently. If there's anything you'd like to touch on tonight, definitely let us know. Sounds like most people are a fan of the solo layout, which is great. I think we had some comments here. Clarine says, like the solo layout, I can see myself using it when I don't have guests. Absolutely. Tristan says, can you show the selection again, please? Sure, I'll pop that up again really quick. So you can see just in the settings, and you can access those settings at the bottom of the studio or on the right. And you can, there's just a new section that, again, this is just proposed. We haven't shipped anything yet, and it could change. But there would be a layouts section where you have the ability to toggle that on and off. And it just changes how the solo layout behaves.
Yeah, and like Kate said, for now we're just testing this out. That isn't 100% what we're going to ship. We'll see, but we're trying it out right now ourselves. So far, it seems to work well.
Wanma says, are you planning to include a system to display YouTube alerts on StreamYard? So things like super chats, Wanma, do come in, and we even have some customized stuff, so you see them surface at the top. I'd be curious what other types of alerts you'd like to see displayed. Do you have any thoughts on that one, Dan?
Yeah, there might be ones we're not aware of potentially, but like when someone becomes a member, we add that to the comment section. So you can show them on screen, super chat, stickers, I believe. Yeah, if there's other ones, definitely let us know.
Cool. Dan says it would be nice to better select than having to go back to settings every time. So I'm guessing maybe you just mean that. Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
I think it just means to switch between the one with the background visible and not visible.
Cool. Fair enough. Thanks for the feedback, Dan. Pete says, any plans for the ability to link backgrounds to layouts? Would be great to have custom layouts when switching between guest, solo, and screen sharing. So I don't know exactly how we'll end up implementing it, Pete, but we're definitely exploring different ways, and our designers are exploring different ways for navigating to different layouts and different scenes in easier ways that allow for a bit more flexibility. Maybe it's similar to how you've suggested, maybe it's something else, but it's definitely something that we would like to have a solution for eventually. Meek says, I have a question in the backlog. Is it possible to get 2 or more GIFs at the same time? It would be nice for overlays and reaction GIFs. So we don't have anything right now, Meek, mostly just for the simplicity of being able to switch from one overlay to another, and the ability to sort of, again, I'm sure you're already aware, but the ability to sort of make a new GIF that's the combined GIF. Obviously, that's a lot more work than just overlaying them on top of each other. But who knows, maybe at some point, but it's not in the current plans. Zev says, is there a feature to add cameras in StreamYard? So I'm assuming you mean additional cameras, Zev. So right now you have the ability to switch between them. So if you go into the settings, you can change between different cameras. You can do it live as well. So at any point in the stream, you can change them. But in terms of multiple cameras on screen at once, the only real way, well, there's a couple ways, but in terms of only using StreamYard, you'd have to invite yourself as a guest from a different device to show that camera angle. Or if you are using something like a A10 Mini that allows you to, it's sort of like a video mixer where you can plug in different devices and then use that as your single input on StreamYard and then use the hardware device to switch between them. Hopefully that answers the question. Ted says, I wonder if it would be beneficial to make the solo layout with a background a separate layout so it's easier to switch between without going into the settings. Any thoughts you want to share behind that one, Dan?
Yeah, there's definitely limitations doing it that way. So it is something we explored. We explored a whole bunch of different ways. Kind of the issue there is if it's just a button like that, then you can't really make a guest go into that view easily. And also if you have like 2 people, it's just not great. It doesn't give you as much flexibility or control is sort of the problem. So if you have like 2 people in a different layout and then you want to go directly into that one with a specific person, you can't really do that easily. Whereas if it's just a setting, all you have to do is like full screen or solo that person like you do now, but you have the setting on and therefore like that specific person goes straight into the solo layout. So it just allows you to do more things like switching between specific layouts with specific people easier than if you only had kind of what you're suggesting there. It's an option though. Like we definitely explored it. So, and like Dave said, we're looking for feedback. So it's good to hear the feedback.
Cool. Dr. Donahue, excuse my ignorance, but I'm not actually sure what a lectern background is, but maybe you do. Dan, do you know what a lectern background
So lectern is like when you're speaking and you have something in front of you where you put the paper on, for example.
Oh, okay.
That's what a lectern is. A lectern background, that I don't know.
So maybe let us know Dr. Donahue. And if you just mean like a custom background for each speaker in terms of like, I'm assuming it's not what you mean, but if you just mean some sort of like unique background for them, that was actually one of the other things we were going to review tonight was the virtual background. So you could actually have a guest upload a virtual background and have that show behind them, which we will show in a little bit, but I'm assuming I'm misunderstanding. So let us know.
Cool. One thing I actually would be curious as a follow-up question to some of the questions about the solo layout we were showing off is how many of you would want to switch between, like, say you're in solo where Geige is full screen and then you want to shrink them down and then like bring them back to full screen? Because our thought was kind of that not that many people would actually want to do that. Like, you'd probably want to have it where your show, everyone that ever goes into the solo layout is either shrunk or larger, and you kind of set it up to just be consistent throughout the show instead of kind of having some cases where someone's larger and some where they're smaller. That was kind of the reason behind it, is you probably pick one or the other for all your shows, or at least for that specific show. But yeah, if you do want to be able to switch between them, that would be useful to know, especially if you're doing it several times per show.
Cool. Let us know. Dave says, love all the new features. I hope you'll consider raising the number of brands to 25, #TheYard. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate the feedback.
Cool.
Sounds like most people have tried starred comments and are fans, so thanks for that, NLTMW. That's awesome. Sounds like Dr. Donahue as well. Very cool. And Paranormal Gateway. Gotti says, this is my weekly reminder that I need to shrink myself down when using green screen, put dates, etc. behind me for viewers. Awesome, Gotti. Appreciate. Definitely noted, and we'll continue thinking about it and exploring. Brian says, the only thing I'd like to see with pinned comments would be to have a hotkey that would allow us to bring up the first starred comment instantly.
Interesting. That's cool. So maybe even something where you're not in the starred comment section and you just hit something and it brings that on screen, and maybe you hit a button and the same button and brings the next one, that kind of thing.
Let us know. But yeah, the hotkeys is we're definitely open to, if you caught when we first launched it, we just wanted to get an initial version out. So we're definitely open to adding new ones if people find them useful in terms of what you can actually bind, like slides, for example. Matthew says, how can one tell how the overlay looks while streaming? So maybe you haven't used StreamYard before, Matthew, but if everything you see in the studio in terms of what's in the video player itself is what the output is going to look like. So that's how you can see how the overlay looks. You just click it.
Yep.
NLTNW says, interesting. Will there be a future layout option to select the corner for PIP layout? Yeah, it's a good point, NLTNW. That was part of the thinking. Again, not promising anything. I don't know how we're actually going to implement it. It was just a preview. But part of the thinking around that section was maybe it could allow for other flexibility with different layouts. So something we're thinking about. Yep. Ruben says, any comments on how it's going with the live selling feature or how it was called? I remember once you showed something like that. I think we might have asked, or I know we've definitely asked, how many people sell products leveraging live streaming. We even did an event about it recently. In terms of a specific feature, I'm not sure we've actually talked about it, Ruben, but if there's anything, if you have any thoughts in terms of like what kind of features would help you do that, assuming you do live selling, definitely let us know. The time is rapidly approaching. Maybe, Dan, do you want to start setting up the giveaway tool? I'll try to get to a few more of these comments.
Cool.
Pure Journal says maybe new subscribers. I assume that's referring to the alerts. Yes, that would be an interesting one. That I'm not sure. Do you know if we actually have access to that, Dan, from YouTube to show when there's a new subscriber?
I'm not sure on that one.
We can double check.
Yeah.
So for anyone new to these streams, we do a giveaway every week, and tonight we'll be giving away we'll give away one of these sweaters, the StreamYard sweater, and that pillow that Dan has in the background.
Cool.
And if you just type in #TheYard from any of the streaming channels, you'll be eligible to win. And we'll give you guys a minute or so here to get in your #TheYards. Media Hosting says, Teams is actually one of the other ones we're going to get to tonight. We'll have to spill over to the next one as well, since we're running out of time. I have 10 team members and created a brand for each member and a banners folder for each member. It would be good if team members could only see their brands and banners. They keep slipping up. Any thoughts on that one, Dan?
Yeah, it's something we're trying to think about how to make easier, just managing larger teams. Yeah. We do have some things on our business plan that we've started testing, but I would eventually like to have some of those pieces on all plans. But even on our business plan, we're kind of early stages testing out things for that.
Cool. Sebastian says, it would be great if the overlays auto remove if we set so when switching number of users on screen. Sometimes we have 2 or 3 people overlay, but then have to put one person solo, and the existing overlay cuts the person in 3 windows designed in the overlay. So I assume that's related to sort of the tying the overlays to certain layouts, Sebastian. So yeah, this type of stuff, again, don't know exactly how we'll implement it, but we're working on finding a solution so that people have more flexibility there. C Right Channel says where to make overlays. Tons of options there. C Right, you might want to check out the Facebook community group. People have lots of awesome resources, but some of the most popular ones are Canva. We actually made a video. Actually, there's a video on how to do it in Canva on YouTube now as well. A long time back, we showed how to do one in Figma. Photoshop's popular, so lots of options there. But if you don't want to make one yourself,
right?
Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
Even sometimes Google Slides, right?
Yeah, people will use Google Slides and just paste stuff into there and move it around. But if you don't want to make one yourself, it's definitely a lot of options in terms of Fiverr or finding someone else to just make something for you.
Yep.
All right, should we go ahead and do the draw, Dan?
You betcha. Good luck, everyone.
Sports Time Machine. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight, and congrats. You just won StreamYard sweater and pillow. If you email contact@streamyard.com, Dana can coordinate you in terms of shipping and your sizes and things like that. So that's contact@streamyard.com. But yeah, congrats and thanks again.
Cool channel name as well.
All right, we'll try our best to get through a few more of these questions. I was hoping we'd have time to get through a few more of the features, but it's great that we're able to answer the questions. Let's see. Sounds like Ted's a fan of multiple cameras. Awesome. Xander says, another request I have is an editor for recorded videos. This would be useful if I want to do a rerun and I want to get it under the hour limit. Cool. Yeah, absolutely, Xander. I'd be curious if how complex of an editor you'd be interested in. Is it sounds like based on this, it would mostly just be trimming the beginning and end of the video. Other than that, I'd be curious how deep you would actually be interested in us going in terms of an editor.
Yep. And when you say the 1 hour limit, is this for deferred streaming? Like you want to get it under 1 hour so you can then stream it out?
Yeah, let us know. I think that's my guess. But yeah, let us know. All right. Manny says deleted comments or blocked in YouTube appear in StreamYard comments anyway sometimes, and I sometimes show it by mistake. Any thoughts on that? We'll have to double check that, Manny, to see what we're able to do there. Any thoughts on that one, Dan?
So I know, unless we change it, but I don't remember changing it, is if you block someone through the chat on StreamYard, we'll delete all of the comments from that user, I believe. If you block them on YouTube, we won't proactively go back and delete them from StreamYard. So maybe that's what's happening here. Like if you have a moderator on YouTube that blocks a person, the comments will still show up. Yeah, that could be something we could look into. Or let me know if I'm off and it's something else.
Cool.
But I agree in general, it's a challenge because even if you didn't block the person, sometimes there are comments you don't want to show, even if you don't want to block them. So yeah, it's a challenge in general that we're thinking about.
Awesome. So unfortunately, there's a ton of comments we weren't able to hit on tonight, but we'll do our best to go back through them and write them down. So hopefully we can hit on them next time, or just hang out with us next time. And we should have time to finally go through. We still haven't hit on teams and virtual backgrounds and infinite scroll. Infinite scroll is a quick one, but so hopefully next time we'll be able to hit on all of those. This was episode 154 of the StreamYard Live Town Hall. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Always a pleasure being with you here and answering your questions. we'll see you next week, Sunday, the same time, 6 p.m. Pacific.
Cool. See you next week, everyone, and happy holidays.
Oh yeah, of course. Happy holidays to everyone.